Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into something super practical, a real roadmap for learning German. And this isn't just about learning a language for fun. This is specifically about using it to give your career a serious boost.
So let me ask you, are you ready for your next big career move? Because learning German, it's not just about, being able to order a pretzel in Berlin. It's a massive strategic investment in where you're going professionally. Okay, so let's get right to it. The big question, why German? Why this language? Well, first off, it's basically a golden ticket to some of the best IT and engineering jobs out there. We're talking about one of the strongest economies in Europe. But it's not just about Germany. It opens up the whole European job market. And for your long-term tech career, man, the boost is just incredible. The opportunities are massive. All right, here's how we're going to break it all down today. We'll start with the why, then get into building your foundation. After that, we'll cover mastering the core skills, lay out a path to fluency, look at the big advantage for IT careers, and finally, talk about how you can get started like right now. It's a super clear plan.
Okay, first up, let's talk about why we're calling German the career-boosting language. I promise, by the end of this section, you'll get it. Next, let's get into building your foundation. This part is so important. We're going to focus on what you can realistically do in just your first 3 weeks. It's all about getting a strong but totally manageable start. Where you start is actually way simpler than most people think. You don't need to go memorize a whole dictionary. Seriously. You just need to focus on 3 things. First, the alphabet and getting used to those unique sounds, the a, u. Second, just getting a feel for the 3 genders, der, die, and das. And third, this is the golden rule, basic sentence structure. The verb pretty much always sits in that second spot. You get those 3 down, you've got your launch pad. You're ready to go. Okay, so what does the journey actually look like? This chart lays it all out. It's based on this official European framework, the CEFR, which is awesome because it takes this vague idea of being fluent and turns it into real, concrete steps. You can see yourself going from just basic hellos at A1 to handling daily life at B1, all the way up to a pro level for work at B2. It gives you actual targets, something to really aim for.
All right, section 3. This is where we master the core skills. I want you to think of this part as your training montage, like in a movie. This is where you really build up that language muscle.
So what's your first big target? It's this number, 1,000. That's it, just 1,000 words. If you learn the 1,000 most common words, you can actually understand most simple everyday conversations. It's such a powerful goal, and it's totally, completely achievable.
But how do you actually learn those words? Well, here's the secret. You don't do it by making flashcards of single words. That's the old way. The key is context. So instead of memorizing that gehen equals to go, you learn a whole sentence, like Ich gehe heute zur Arbeit. When you do it that way, you're not just getting the word, you're getting the grammar and how it's actually used, all in one go. Trust me, it is a total game changer.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. German grammar. It can feel like a monster, right? But the secret is you don't try to fight the whole thing at once. You follow a roadmap. You start simple, with the present tense. Once you have that, you add in modal verbs, words like can and must. Then you can move on to the cases, accusative, then dative. And finally, you tackle the past tense. See? It's a logical progression. You just take it one step at a time.
And that leads me to maybe the single most important piece of advice you'll hear today. It's this mindset. Speak badly, improve later. Just let that sink in. Don't wait until you're perfect. In the beginning, your only goal is to communicate. That's it. So just open your mouth and start talking. Seriously, even if it's just to yourself.
Look, consistency is everything, and you build it with tiny, daily habits. I'm not talking hours and hours. I'm talking like 15 to 20 minutes a day of listening, maybe a podcast or something on YouTube, reading something simple like a children's story, and writing just 3 sentences. That's it. But the real kicker? Trying to stop translating in your head and just start thinking in German. These little things, they compound over time into huge, huge progress.
Okay, let's pull all these pieces together. In this next section, we're going to map out the actual path to fluency. We're talking a concrete study plan and a real no-kidding timeline.
So, if you've got an hour a day to spare, here's the perfect recipe. You split it evenly. 15 minutes on vocab, 15 on grammar, 15 on listening, and 15 on speaking. It's that simple. By keeping it balanced, you make sure all your skills are growing together, and honestly, it's just the most efficient way to do it. So, what does this actually look like over time? Well, this timeline is pretty realistic. If you're consistent, you can knock out the A1 basics in just a month or two. And check this out. B1, which is often what you need to be considered job ready, you can get there in about 6 to 8 months. A year, you could be at a solid B2 professional level. Look, it's a marathon, for sure, not a sprint. But the finish line is always there, and you always know how far you have to go. All right, now for a special section, just for all you tech folks out there. Let's talk about the IT career advantage, because if you're in tech, this is how you take your new German skills and turn them into an absolute professional superpower.
For you guys, the key is to be super targeted. Don't just learn generic German. You need to focus on tech vocabulary that's specific to what you do. Another pro tip, go create a LinkedIn profile in German right now. That's how German recruiters are going to find you. And finally, you got to master their specific CV format. It's called a Lebenslauf. Doing these things, it just screams that you're serious, and it puts you way, way ahead of everyone else.
Okay, let's bring it all together. Time to wrap up because your journey starts right now.
Look, I'm going to be real with you. German can feel tough right at the beginning. It's got a steep learning curve. But here's the thing you have to remember. Once you get over that first little hill around the A2 level, it suddenly clicks. You realize it's an incredibly logical language. The patterns make sense, and your progress just takes off. The whole secret is just pushing through that initial phase. And that brings us here to the last and, I think, most important question. We've given you the map, right? But a map is useless if you don't have a destination. So I'm asking you, what is your goal? Is it that dream job? Is it studying abroad? Is it just for travel? Figure that out, write it down, because the moment you define that goal, your journey has already started.